Hello everybody and welcome to our 2023 Manufacturing Product Updates webinar. Today we're going to be looking at some of the new features and updates inside of Inventor and Vault 2023. So without any further ado, we're just going to have a look straight here at the home screen of Inventor, where you can see there are quite a few, or there's some drastic changes that have made in here. So the biggest change really is the recent section that has been completely overhauled, and we've now got a way bigger area available to us to view the recents. The open and project options have all been moved to the left hand side of our screen here, and this is just to ensure some uniformity in the UI of the Autodesk products as a whole, really. So as the various products start to get their updates, Autodesk are wanting to push that that they all have a very similar interface, so that it makes it a lot easier going from program to program. And you will have noticed over the last few updates that if you do use AutoCAD, AutoCAD's got a very similar look and feel to it now as well. One of the really nice ones about this is, obviously, other than it giving us a lot more space to view our recent documents, we've got a bit more space for the thumbnails now as well. We've still got the list view available to us, but one of the other really handy features about this new interface really is the fact that with our when we are using a Vault project, it gives the Vault status of each of the different components or the different files as well. So you can see the little icon down here with files that aren't in Vault, the files that are in Vault. You can see some of the files referencing that our local version is a historical version of the file. So we've got all of the little glyphs available to us that we can see at a quick glance, rather than having to go into the Vault add-in. So there's a real combination or bringing over of some of the features of the Vault tools, the Vault add-in rather, into the home interface, and just getting that collaboration a little bit easier now and a little bit more seamless as well. So as I said, I've currently got a Vault project. That's my active project in here, and with that being so, you'll see my open option by default is open from Vault. Generally, if you are going to be opening a file, when you have a Vault project open and active, you'll be opening from inside of Vault. But we do still have the ability in this little drop down just to do a normal open, and that'll open from our local storage, and we can begin to work our files that way around. If you had another project as your active project that was a non-Vault one, we've got the ability, or it will by default be set to open rather than open from Vault. So it's just that little way of adding a little bit of extra intelligence that's really works well in the new home screen over here. We've got the ability to switch between our different projects as well in the little drop down. So whatever your default project is or whatever your active project is, you've got the ability to still switch the two different projects. So if you aren't working inside of Vault, you'd likely be using different projects, and you can just switch between those from inside there. And we've got the ability just to access the settings for those projects from inside of our projects and settings button just to the right of that. When we are creating new files, we can use the little new button down here at the bottom, or we can use the drop down to choose whether we want a part, assembly, drawing, or presentation file as well. And these will pick up from the templates that we've got available to us. So very much the same process as the 4 buttons we used to have. They're now just in one single button where we can come in and begin to use those from. Other than that, that's pretty much the main overhaul that we've had. So it's really just making the recent documents section of our window a little bit bigger and a little bit easier to read and be able to access essentially from there. So I'm just going to open up a assembly file. Same process really as before. The interface in here looks more or less the same, maybe a few minor tweaks to the buttons and that, but pretty much the same process as before in accessing that. And you can see the main interface hasn't changed much. We've still got our tabs down at the bottom and our ribbon up at the top, so not that much in regards to that. But one of the nice new changes that they have made is when we are orbiting around parts or even assemblies, Sometimes it can be a little tricky to pick the pivot point of the orbit itself as we're rotating our model around. And what they've done to improve that is now there are 3 different stages really to where it picks the pivot point. If we have the entire assembly or part in view and we do our orbit, it'll automatically pick the geometric center of the part and pivot around that particular point. If we are partially inside or we have our model partially in the view, it will pick a slightly different point sometimes. This time maybe not. It just depends on the view itself. But it's again just a little bit of a difference in the way that it picks that particular point. But if we zoom all the way in and we're looking at a particular face or surface, if we now use our shift and middle mouse button to orbit around our part, or therefore any orbiting tool really, it now will automatically pick the surface or the place that we've clicked essentially as our pivot point. So it just makes it that much easier to rotate and navigate a way around the assembly, and for that matter for parts as well. Another improvement that they've made is in the constraints options. So if we're in the middle of creating a constraint, or for that matter editing a constraint, we can automatically suppress the constraint directly inside here. So whether you're just creating a new constraint, obviously for the first time, and just want that there as an option for later on, or whether you're creating some edits to it and getting some conflicts in certain constraints that you've been applying, or for this matter, if you're creating different model states and each of the different model states require different suppression values for different constraints, we've got the ability to suppress a particular constraint in the edit or in the place constraint dialog. So as soon as I hit apply on there, that constraint will appear inside of my relationships folder, but it will automatically be suppressed. I could always come back in here, right click and unsuppress that, or at any point editing it, I could unsuppress that during the same dialog. But it's nice that we've got that ability to create all of these constraints from the get-go and then choose whether we want them suppressed or not right from the beginning. Speaking of suppression, one of the other options that we have available now is in the bill of materials. Any suppressed part inside of an assembly will now no longer show inside of the bill of materials as a whole. So if I had to come in and suppress this particular part over here, if I just find my suppress button, there we go. If I open up my bill of materials now, you can see that that particular part is missing. So we've now only got 3 pegs from inside there. If I go to the parts only list and enable it, there, got the wrong level of bill of materials, but that's fine. You can see we've only got 3 items from inside there. If I close this off quickly and unsuppress that and go back into my bill of materials, you can see we've now got 4 items inside of that bill of materials. So another really handy one to have, rather than having to actually remove the file as a whole or the part as a whole. We've got the ability to just suppress them and it won't be included inside of our bill of materials. We've also now got a update or a bit of a, I suppose a bit of an update to the Simplify tool. So it now has the ability to recognize holes as well. So if I open up my Simplify tool over here, if I ever want to simplify an assembly or a part, just to make it a cleaner version or a version that doesn't have as much IP in it, or if you just want to compress a file down to its simplest form, we've got the ability to come in and remove holes as well. So hole recognition is now included inside of this, as well as just making the entire tool a little bit cleaner and a lot easier to use now as well. Not a massive update, but I think it's still a handy one going forward, especially when you are wanting to remove quite a few of the features from inside of your parts as well. And then we've also got quite a few improvements and updates inside of parts as well. So if I had to open up this base part over here, for example, actually, if I open this up as a separate file quickly, so it doesn't take too long. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, we've got a few really nice tools that we can begin to use now as well, or a few new features that we can begin to use inside here. And the first one I want to look at, and I think this is probably one of the biggest or one of the nicest improvements I think to the part environment, is we've now got this mark tool available to us. And what this mark tool will allow us to do is, as it says over there, it helps define the DXF and DWG outputs essentially. So we can come in and start to use text, for example, on a surface, and actually embed that as a mark onto the surface itself. So we've got a lot of clients that have previously wanted to add a bit of text and onto a surface and actually machine that onto the surface, and this is where this is going to really improve that functionality. Previously you'd have to try and make a physical mark and do an extrusion into the part, or try and actually make the lines or do a projected geometry and try and manually put those marks on. Now we've got the ability to use this mark tool. And it's really a simple tool to use. So we've got the ability to either mark a particular surface or mark through, which will go right through the entire part as a whole. So if I use mark surface, I can click on this text. It's just a text field that I've got, or inside of a sketch rather. So I've got a bit of text on a sketch that's on top of that surface. And I can just choose whether I want to mark the surface or mark through. If I select mark surface and hit OK on there, yes, we'd like to check that out. Thought that was already checked out. You can see we've now got that surface that's been marked, and we can begin to use that in DXFs and in our CAM environment as a way of actually accessing the exact geometry that we want to machine from there. If I edit this quickly and just change this also to a through. So you can see at the moment, let me just cancel that quickly and go to the back. That's just marked that front surface at the moment. However, if I right click and edit this feature quickly and just change this to a mark through and hit OK on that, wait a few seconds, you'll see that that's actually marked all the way through. So it's on both sides of the part. So really nice tool to have, and you can see how simple it is to use. Probably would have been worthwhile using another font for that one, but you can see what it does essentially is it picks either the center line or the outer perimeter of the text and begins to mark that on there. So if you're using another font like a TXT font or something like that, it's going to be really handy for marking items onto those surfaces. One of the other really handy ones that we've got available to us now as well is the ability to add in tolerances during a fillet creation. So what we can do is, if we're placing down a fillet, previously we would have to place down the fillet first and then edit the tolerances inside of our parameters. I'm just going to add a few fillets on here. Last one over there quickly, just for the fun of it. Maybe one more. We've now got the ability to come in and set our tolerances directly from the creation tool. So as we're placing down this fillet, you can see we can come in and give it a value. If I say I want to give it a value of 3 mil, if it's updating for me, 3 mil. There we go. But if I want to add some tolerances in as well, I've got the ability to do so using the little triangle or the little arrow over here on the side. So I can come in here and choose tolerances directly from here, and it'll take me directly into the tolerance window where I can come in and choose a upper limit or a lower limit, or whether I want to choose this as the median or in fact the nominal. So we've got the ability to come in here. We can also come in and choose the tolerance types from in the drop down here. So we can come in and choose the different options that we would usually be able to choose only inside of the parameters tab. So really handy one to have in there, and just helps speed up the process. So if I set this one quickly, as the median. Hit OK on there. You can see that the button automatically updates to reflect that this is a median value. If I hit OK on here and look back inside of our parameters, I have my parameters up in the quick access toolbar, but wherever you get your parameters from, I can come in down to that particular value, and we can see that that's now set inside of the parameters as well for us. So rather than having to go through later on and editing each of those, we've got the ability to do so directly in there. And that works the same for extrusions and revolves and those type of the extrusions and holes as well. So yeah, really nice handy feature to have inside there. Another new, well, not another new tab, but a new tab that we've got available to us, which helps again with most of the workflows and being able to make use of the benefits inside of Fusion. Fusion has a lot of tools and a lot of environments that are great for creating studies and running simulations, and a lot of clients are using Inventor to do all the design work and get a lot of the models and detailing inside, but still wanting to be able to create and test those models inside of different environments. So what Autodesk have introduced now is the Fusion tab. Towards the last few updates of Inventor 22, they started introducing the Send to Fusion option. And now what they're doing is we've got the ability to send to an exact environment inside of Fusion. So within our Fusion tab, we've got the ability to come in and pick the environment directly from inside here. This will then create a replicated version of our file inside of Fusion and open it up directly inside of the environment that we're wanting to begin to use. So if, for example, we wanted to take this particular part and push it into a Fusion CAM environment, we can come into the Fusion tab in the manufacturer panel and go to subtractive machining. We've got the ability to come in here and send to Fusion, so it'll send this file into Fusion and begin to open it inside of the correct environment. This little interoperability window pops up for the first time. We can check to not show this again, but if I hit OK on there or continue, it'll then begin to compile the information for me. I can come in and choose which team I want to send the file to. From the team, I can then decide on which folder I want to send this through to. So if I wanted to instead go to this Man Machine MFG UK team, any of the projects rather that are inside of that, I could come in and choose from there, and then I can choose the file name that would appear inside of Fusion as well. As soon as I select upload over here, it'll then begin to upload the file into Fusion, into that particular project and that particular folder as well. And as soon as I'm happy to, you can see that one's opened up there. I can now select Open in Fusion 360, and it should now take me, I've got Fusion 360 open on the other side over here, and it should just take us directly into that environment. Sometimes it does take a little while. It is a completely separate file, so just waiting a few seconds to see that loads up. A few more seconds. It takes a little while to get that up, and I think since I'm running a few different things at once, it might take a little longer as well. So we'll let that load up in the meantime, and I'll head straight back into Inventor just to show a few more items inside here. So one of the other new options we have available to us is inside of the annotation tab. We've got the ability now, as I was talking about earlier, the tolerances that we've been able to add directly into the features. We've now got the ability to use tolerances as well, tolerance features directly inside of the 3D annotation. So as well as just the tolerance features, we've got a few extra options for surfaces, for leader text, and some general notes as well. So those are really handy ones to be able to drop in, so we can come in. Though we have had dimensions and datums before, we've there's just a bit more options that are available to us in the placement of these. So yeah, really handy to have. If I come in and add tolerance features, should be able to pick that one and show its value up there. And you can see we've now got those values in there, although that's showing as a 2. So not quite what, let's have a look. One more, try that over here. Try that. Not working out for me today. We'll have to come back to that one later on if we get some time. If somebody can let me know what I'm doing wrong there, please. And then yeah, so those are some of the features. I just want to see if there is anything that I've missed out from that section. But yeah, really nice features that we've got available to us inside of Inventor in 2023 as well now. Just want to see if Fusion has loaded that up. That's fine. There we go. So yeah, you can see it's taken us straight into the manufacturing environment here inside of Fusion. It's brought our model directly in, and you can see our mark on top of the surface as well. That's been added, which is yeah really great. We can begin to use those. Again, sorry, the text is probably the wrong one to have used in this particular one. But for the other ones, it seems to have the other letters. It seems to have come out quite well. It's just the C and the S that seems to be struggling on this particular font. But yeah, if you use some of the other fonts there, they'll work really well in there. Cool. The other product that's seen quite a really nice update is Vault. So I just want to show you what that looks like as well. So if I just open up Vault Professional over here quickly, you'll see from the get-go the entire interface has had a bit of an uplift, and this is just the default setting. So the buttons look a little cleaner, the interface looks a little neater as well. Again, coming in with the unification essentially of the interface, it's starting to look a little bit more like the other products. For a while, Vault did look a little different from everything else, and yeah, you can see Autodesk are really pushing for Vault to start looking like the rest of the products. A few of the really nice options that I want to show off in here, I suppose the first one to mention is the Vault Gateway, which allows us now to begin to use vaults that aren't necessarily on our network. Previously, if you needed to access a vault from a network that you weren't on, you would have had to have used a VPN onto that particular network and then begin to connect to the server that way around. What they've now begun to introduce is Vault Gateway, which allows you to access a virtual Vault server. It needs to be enabled obviously on the server side, but you can essentially begin to access Vault data from anywhere as long as you've got a connection now using that, and that will be during the login phase of Vault. So if I just log out here now quickly and log back in, so rather than in this case using a local host well, you would usually put your network or your server name inside there. Mine's running locally, so I've got local-host. You would then put in HTTPS location. So you'd have a server location that would be hosted from your server itself, and you'd be able to get the address from the administrator and be able to access that from wherever you'd need to. So, and again, a really nice groundbreaking feature that they've introduced there. Unfortunately for this one, I haven't got mine set up completely inside of that particular vault at the moment, so I'll just show you locally, but yeah, just a really nice feature to have on there. So I'm just going to go straight into my local one and just show you a few of the features that we've got available to us in here. So first few features I want to have a look at will be inside of our tools over here. And in our options, we've got the ability to come in and change the theme of Vault. So as you've seen inside of Inventor, and you would have seen inside of AutoCAD as well, if you do have that, we've now got the ability to activate a dark mode. Really handy. I really love the dark mode. We've now got that availability inside of Vault as well. So at the moment this is set to light mode. I can quickly hit the drop down here in theme and go to dark mode. It takes a few seconds to get everything up to what I wanted to, and then you can see it brings it in really nicely for me. We've also got classic, which will go back to the slightly older coloring scheme. You can see that looks very much the same as Vault 22. But yeah, really enjoying the new light and dark modes. Personally, I prefer the dark mode. But yeah, great that we've now got the option just to make that look a little neater, a little cleaner as well. What we've also got the ability to do now is we've got the ability to change. Previously, you wouldn't be able to just drag and drop individual files into Vault, mainly because you'd want Vault to be able to process it correctly in its check-in and check-out phase. But what we've now got the ability to do inside of our Vault settings is we're able to change some of those design file restrictions. So if we have a look inside of, got to remember where it is now. It probably was inside of options. Let me find that again. Here we go. It was inside of options. Perfect. Inside of our open file behavior settings, we can come in here and choose. It's still not in there. Apologies for that. Completely lost where it is. File. Of course it is. Inside of Vault settings, so actions Vault settings, we've got our enforce restriction for check-in of design files. So we've now got the ability to change the file types as well, or not change the file types rather, but rather restrict based on file type. So before it used to be a blanket option. You turn that off and you have to check files in directly. You can't just drag and drop files directly inside of Vault. So everything needs to be checked in through the various add-ins and the various methods. We've now got the ability to specify which files are used in that case. So if I go into file type restriction, you'll see we've now got the ability to come in and filter which files we restrict and which files we allow in. So again, another really handy feature that we've got available to us. Again, it's inside of Tools, Administration, Vault Settings. So we've got that in the Files tab. We've got Enforce Restriction for check-in of design files, and we can come in and choose the file type restriction as well from inside there. And again, just you can see how the interface has changed throughout the entire environment. So we've got quite a nice look to our tabs now. Not quite tabs anymore, but just little options up at the top of the list now. One of the other really nice features that they've introduced inside of 2023 is we've now got lifecycle state colors that are available to us. So previously in Inventor Pro, we've had the ability to assign lifecycle states within lifecycles. Now we've got that visual representation of what state a particular file is at, so we can come in and set a different color for each state just for that quicker recognition. So in theory, we don't even need to have our state there either if we didn't need to. So down to obviously individual user preferences. And if you are working with a smaller screen and don't want to have as much real estate used up by different columns, we've now got this this state glyph column that's available to us. It'll show us a visual cue as to the color or the state that our particular items are at inside of Vault, which a really nice handy feature to have as well. So not only do we now have a color representing the category that they're on, we've now got a color representing the state that they're on as well. And the way we can adjust this for the administrators is inside of Tools, Administration, Vault Settings, this time under the Behaviors tab. Inside of each of the various life cycles, we can come in and make the tweaks to that. So if I change this flexible release process over here and go to Edit, we can see now with each individual lifecycle state, we've got the ability to come in and adjust the color for that. So under the General tab, for each individual lifecycle state, we can hit this little color drop down and begin to change those based on your requirements and your preferences. So again, a really nice feature that we've got the ability to use inside here now. Awesome. And then the last major feature I want to just show us in this particular one, which I think is a really handy feature and one of the bigger updates that we've seen inside of Vault 23, is the viewer. So previously the viewer that we had, that was quite nice. We could come in and view our model in a 3D space. We've now got inside of Vault 23, our model viewer is powered by Forge, which just begins to add a little bit more functionality to what we can do inside of the viewer. So if I just select this lampshade we've got over here and go over to our View tab on the item, I can come in and select the view of this, and I have a feeling it's going to want to update, but let's see what it does. It doesn't want to open. Is it because I've got it checked out? It's undo checkout on there. We won't tell anybody. Hit OK. And let's try viewing this one again. There we go. Cool. You can see this is now powered by Forge, which is Autodesk's new online viewer. And this now allows us to view these models in a much cleaner, crisper environment. The level of detail in this is just amazing. We've got the ability to come in, orbit around, pan, zoom in, zoom out, functions that we're quite used to by now. But yeah, just the level of detail on these viewers now is just amazing. So we've got the ability to come in and adjust that. What we've also got inside of our settings is we can come in and change the configuration of this. We can change the way we navigate inside of it, change some of the appearances as well, ambient shadowing, anti-aliasing, ground shadows, ground effects. So there's a lot of configuration we can do, especially if you've got some files that you want to make look really pretty. We can do that directly inside of Vault now as well. And one of the other features that I'm really impressed with is this environment option that we've got down here. So we can come in and choose different environments to view this file in. So just adds that extra ability inside of Vault to visualize the parts that we have inside of the database. Yeah, so really nice one to have. And then with the new Forge viewer, we've got the ability now to do markups directly inside of the viewer. Previously, you'd have to do markups inside of a change order, inside of items. But now we've got the ability to do markups directly onto the parts themselves as well. So any part that's saved inside of Vault, we've now got the ability to add our markups to it. So you can see here, I made a markup earlier. If I click on that, it takes me directly to that particular markup. In the view aligned to that, I could come in and create a new markup as well. I can hit done on here and just make my own new one. I can, if I rotate my model around, if there's anything that I want to have adjusted or any notes that I want to make on the particular part, I can come in, add my markup. I've got the ability to come in, do freehand sketching, freehand red marker, I've got the ability to come in and add some text, whether I want some borders on the text or not. I can choose the size of the text, the color of the text, and a few other options from inside there. I've got the ability to come in, create a cloud as well. Again, I can change the color and visibility of that as well. And whether we want any fill on this particular view as well. So yeah, really handy feature to have. And as soon as we're done with this particular markup, as detailed as my markup is, we've got the ability to save this either as a screenshot or as data. So if we save it as screenshot, it will download an image for us that we can then send off to whoever needs to see it and action it. Or we can save it as data. And as soon as I save it as data, I'll just call this one a squiggle. Hit save on there, and it's now added to the information of this particular view. So anytime anybody comes in to the markup tool, they'll be able to see all of the existing markups and click on them. It'll take them directly to the view and the actual markup itself. So yeah, really nice features that have been introduced inside here. There are a few other features that unfortunately I haven't been able to get some time for. But yeah, I hope that that's been beneficial to you and you've enjoyed some of the new features. If there are any other features that you'd like us to have a deeper look at, or things that you've discovered that we haven't mentioned perhaps, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section. Otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been beneficial for you, and I shall see you guys all again next time. Thank you. Bye.